on the screen here some numbers so the audience can understand what we're talking about. These are what we call unfunded pension liabilities. In other words, money in the future is owed to 3 specific unions. And look at the numbers there: 11.3 billion city employees, 9.3 billion fire and police, 6.6 billion for water and power. That's $27 billion unfunded. Now, people are sitting at home saying, well, what does that mean? How do we pay for that? What is Wendy Greuel going to do about this?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. One is we need to do greater pension reform. We need to look at our current pension system and look at the things of age of the retirement. We need to look at the capping of the pension level. We need to look at double dipping, pension spiking, and looking at how they can perform better. I've been
take these issues one at a time, because each one is a real issue. Let us begin with how pensions are done and retirement age. As you know, a big controversy in this mayor's race now is because Eric Garcetti, as city council, voted to change to a second tier for new hirees who come in after July. That their retirement age will jump up 10 years from 55 to 65, among other things. You immediately objected because of the process, how that was done. The unions were not negotiated with. When people criticized for you saying it looked like you were too soft on the unions, you took a little bit of a step back saying, no, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I disagree how it was done. Clarify that for the audience.
Well, I've been very clear and consistent, which is I agree with the pension reforms. I believe that we need to make those changes, and for not only the new employees, which is what the city council acted on, but working with the local unions to say, the current employees. My position was, there's a lawsuit. I want to avoid a lawsuit as much as possible, and to bring them to the table to talk about avoiding that lawsuit. I'm not going to roll back anything. I believe clearly in the pension reforms that were adopted. I just want to make sure that we don't spend years in lawsuits. Let's figure this out. Let's make sure that we take care of it. But I'm not going to roll back anything, and I think it was
substance to what city council
absolutely, and I've been clear on that. There's no disagreement on my position, which has been, I believe in those pension reforms. I believe that it was a first step. I don't believe that it goes far enough. That's been my position, and I just want to make sure that we avoid any potential lawsuit. But I've always said I agree with those.
Talk about pension spiking, so people understand pension spiking, and that is that somehow or other in their last years of work, people can accrue an income they've never had before, and then their pension is based on that unrealistic income. And there are many people, over 1,000, who get 100% of their income in retirement, which is unheard of in private industry. What do you say about that?
Well, pension spiking is an area where, how many years do you calculate as far as, is it in your last year, if you had a promotion in your last year, or should it be the last 3 years? That's, we think it should be over the last 3-year period type. It shouldn't be spiked at the end that you get the greatest amount just because you've been in that position for the last year, that we should have a greater portion. And I think that's critical. I'm so proud of the coalition that I built of business and working men and women. That kind of coalition says, I'm going to sit at the table. I was endorsed this week by Mayor Reardon. Mayor Reardon has...
I want to get into that, because that's an interesting twist in this race. You have been perceived as the biggest friend of labor. You have the endorsement of the LA Federation of Labor, of the Service Employees Union. Your critics say you were very soft in the pocket of the unions. You can't make independent decisions. And lo and behold, Richard Reardon now is endorsing you. Richard Reardon is not seen as a friend of the unions in any way. What kind of balancing act is that you're doing?
Well, look, I am proud, again, to have both business support and labor support and Mayor Reardon support. My opponent has labor support, too, and tried to get the labor support. The difference is people know that I'm going to be the person who's going to get the job done. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and deal with the issues that are important in Los Angeles. It's not only about jobs and pension and getting our fiscal house in order. That's where I get this kind of coalition going forward. When I first ran for city council, I didn't have any labor support. I ran on a way, I won by 225 votes. I am the person who is going to get Los Angeles back. I'm not going to have paralysis. What I'm going to be doing is focusing in on getting us at the table and ready to work in Los Angeles.
When your critics say, one of those unions who showed up on that chart before, water and power, those employees, they've given you, what, $2 million in support. Is that an accurate figure?
I don't know exactly how much. They have done an independent expenditure.
Yeah, let's say $2 million. That you are beholden to them, and that situation they have is outrageous.
Well, as a city controller, I've done 8 audits of the Department of Water and Power. I suggested that they, number one, were holding the city hostage on an issue of transferring money that was deserved to the city of Los Angeles. I've taken them on their credit cards and how they were using their credit cards and abusing that system. I've talked about the renewable portfolio standards and how they weren't doing it the right way. I have been an equal opportunity critic, and I've done that on a lot of issues. So I think that it's a misnomer to suggest that because of that support that I'm not going to be tough, because I've demonstrated as a city controller. I'm going to be tough on my allies. That's why the Los Angeles Daily News endorsed me. They said, Wendy, we know Wendy's going to be tough on her allies.
And it is a unique situation because candidates mostly run toward labor in LA. And then when the general election comes, you got to get labor, and then you have to run away a little bit.
Well, again,
it's easy for me to say that, but is that not the reality?
Well, no. I mean, I think that, look, from my perspective, when I have the Chamber of Commerce, the Valley Industry Commerce Association, strong business leaders, and labor leaders, police and fire, 911 operators. These are real people that say, we believe Wendy is going to get Los Angeles back on track.
Didn't the Chamber of Commerce just get very nervous about you, asked you to come in and have a little conversation because they were afraid, again, that you were in the pocket of labor and pensions?
I called them and talked to them about the fact that I was going to be the strong candidate that was going to be not only business friendly, but work with working families. So it was a discussion that I asked to have, so let's all get together. So I think it is
on a larger sense here, Wendy Greuel, you have the second largest city in America. Very few people are active in the process of electing the mayor. It is pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic.
I agree.
And a lot of people, first of all, they're not even clear if they live in Los Angeles, or they live in Los Angeles County and not in the city of Los Angeles. But beyond that, they say, you know, we hear the city is at $200+ million in the hole this year, and Miguel Sansone said it's going to be $400 million in the hole. Your guy now, Reardon, says the city's going to be bankrupt in a couple of years. When we look at this pension funding, it's impossible. You can't raise the taxes. We voted against raising the taxes. This city ultimately is in big trouble and ungovernable, and you say no.
Well, look, I am a gal that says the glass is half full. It is important. If we create good jobs in Los Angeles, and we keep the entertainment jobs in Los Angeles, if we deal with pension reform and we deal with the waste, fraud, and abuse that I've identified, we can go in the right direction to provide the services that our residents want. Fixing our streets, fixing those potholes, making sure that we have enough police officers on the street and our firefighters. That's what we need to do in the city of Los Angeles. We can't have a cop-out and say it's just going to be bankruptcy. We have to make those tough decisions. And as city controller, I have pushed to encourage that council and that mayor to take those tough decisions. I've said you need to make sure that you're prioritizing what is really important to the residents of Los Angeles.
You've also gotten out with your shovel, and there was that historic weekend where you, I forgot what you done, 747, filled 747 potholes.
Good memory.
You know what? The infrastructure in the city is in big trouble. The traffic is just impossible. It makes people not want to live here. The potholes, Mayor Greuel was very proud of being the pothole mayor. We still have too many potholes. What are you going to do about it?
Our infrastructure is very important. I was watching on the news early this morning on the national level. I think it was a D- in the country on all kinds of infrastructure.
And they're ahead of us.
And so it's critically important that we get the dollars to the issues, again, which is fixing our streets. People have said that is a critical part of it and our public safety, but it's all combined.
We're almost out of time. I want to ask you one more question. Let me take it one more moment for you folks. If you weren't running, and Eric said you were running for mayor, would you vote for him?
Well, he'd be the only person on the ballot.
If he's running against somebody else. I mean, if, for instance, pardon me for saying, if he wins this election, is that bad for the city of Los Angeles?
Look, whoever becomes mayor of Los Angeles, I will support them. I plan on being mayor, making history in Los Angeles and being the first woman mayor of LA, being the most qualified, who has the experience that is necessary. I love the city. I grew up here in Los Angeles. My father did. I believe in it. I'm raising my son going to public school here in LA. I'm invested in the city.
And you're a public school person.
I'm a public school person, but I think it is important. I'm going to be a mayor that is going to address all the issues and be tough, but also be responsible to the residents of Los Angeles.
Well, you'd be the first woman, you'd be the first mother. Eric Garcetti would be the first Jew, the first Mexican. I don't know. Well, I had time to go close to qualified. You all have your first, but meanwhile, we're going to fix the city.
Absolutely.
Beyond symbols.
I always say I'm the most qualified that has the experience to do it, and I'm going to be a tough fiscal watchdog. And I'm going to have the relationships with both business and labor to make that happen.
Wendy, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Steve. Nice to see you.
Pleasure. Okay, Wendy Greuel. We'll take a break. We got a big movie coming up.